Hey, what's up? It is Dan and Lucas here from the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel, and we are bringing you WrestleMania 39 predictions and preview.
Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action.
Hey, once again, guys, it is Dan and Lucas here from the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. It's really weird to be in person.
Yeah.
We are so used to just doing this like over the online stuff, over the web, I guess is the right phrase.
Yeah, well, we had a few years of having to do it that way, but it's nice to have this every now and again. Obviously, the big show. Is there 13 matches?
Well, I think so. Yeah,
announced so far.
We'll get into some of them. Yeah, I'm sure there'll be plenty more. But talking of plenty more, we do have plenty more Rebellious Noise stuff to come as well. Obviously, we are the predictions and preview. Scott and Rob recently did the WrestleMania Goes Hollywood red carpet preview. We've also got coming up the build-up show. Night 1's instant reaction, Night 2's instant reaction, and then a full-on review and recap.
Yeah, we got Mania covered.
A lot of stuff. Yeah, if you want WrestleMania content, you've come to the right place. So yeah, like all good shows, WrestleMania does have a host this year. It's got The Miz. So yeah, what's your thoughts on The Miz hosting WrestleMania?
I think it makes sense because they're in Hollywood. And they seem to have really liked this guest host role, haven't they? Past a few years. And I think it makes sense because The Miz is someone who he can kind of just do anything, can't he? I guess. So I think it's good having him be part of the show. And he had his moment last year. Well, a few moments actually in the past few years where he's obviously faced the Logan Paul tag last year, didn't they?
Yeah.
Did he face Shane McMahon? Shane McMahon the year before, I think.
35. Shane McMahon was the Falls Count.
Yeah.
I should know I was there. The one where he jumped off of the scaffolding.
He's had quite a few kind of moments. But yeah, I think it'd be a good host. It'd be interesting how they do this.
Yeah, definitely.
The 2 nights as well, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, you think, will it maybe lead into him having a match at some point? I mean, you got someone like a Bobby Lashley's not got anything to do at the minute. I know LA Knight's quite over with the crowd at the moment. So, I wouldn't be too surprised if The Miz doesn't get involved in a match somehow on this show.
But saying that, there's 13 matches currently announced, and the pacing of the WWE shows lately hasn't been the best. You don't get a lot of matches for your time nowadays. Yeah. The pay-per-views are now like 3 hours with 5 matches now. So it's a case of they're really going to have to speed through some of these, I think, and keep the things moving. Yeah. Especially obviously once you add WrestleMania, as we know, has the special entrances, has the live performances of some people, national anthem at the start usually as well.
Yeah.
It's going to be an interesting one, but they're going to have to definitely do something where it's just not, like essentially getting away from 2 nights. The whole purpose should have been to make it so getting away from 1 night, the whole purpose should be that, okay, 2 nights should be 3 hours each one. But last year, I think it was 3 hours and a half each night. I get a feeling, this is one of my, we are a prediction show. My prediction is both nights will be 4 hours. I think there's no way around it.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you got to think the matches. I mean, if we're going on the assumption that the Bloodline are going to kind of main event both nights, I'm guessing like Roman Cody will main event night 2. I reckon it's going to be the tag title. I hope it's a tag title match going on.
It's gotta be.
I think it's a toss-up, really. I think between the tag title match and the Raw Women's title match. But
I'd even include the Hell in a Cell.
SmackDown Women's title. Sorry.
I'd even do the Hell in a Cell match because they might want to build up night one with having the big gimmick match on last. Because I mean, have they got anything else that is hardcore? Anything? I don't think they have they? They've only got
nothing announced.
Nothing announced. Yeah, but you think
to be fair, I guess like you could really class the triple threat and the IC title one because that's just going to be like free beating.
Yeah, but that'll be with their own bodies, not with.
Well, to be fair, it's it's triple threat, and obviously we know triple threat matches. There's no disqualification, so I guess.
But I think
with
those,
a Gunther chop would probably be as hard as a
steel chair, whatever.
Steel chair, yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's toss up between those two. I think the correct decision, we'll get into it a bit later on, but I think the correct decision is for the tag title match to go on last. It is legitimately got the most, and nowadays WWE it's pretty much the bloodline and kind of everything else. I mean, the Judgment Day are trying, but they are second most important act on the show, in my opinion, quite a distance.
Yeah, exactly.
I think obviously, and it just didn't help the feud has been going on for a very long time with. Edge and Finn Balor finally having their match at WrestleMania, which again we'll get to on this stream.
Yeah, and we've got obviously I've just got something coming through on here for myself, and it is that we have also got some more WrestleMania content that has been filmed. We've got Scott and Rob who did a WrestleMania, they talk all about WrestleMania week, and then we also have a Hall of Fame thing, respectful and disrespectful bits to do with the Hall of Fame. But there is one reason why we are here, and that is to do the predictions and previews. And before we start, obviously, we need to bring up the table. Obviously, they've obviously sent in the A team, the two that are at the relegation zone, so to speak, not available for this one. So they've sent in the 1 and 2. I think we've got to say it's mine to lose, really. Out in front, but it is WrestleMania season, and anything can happen. There are so many matches as well.
It's 13 matches, so there's obviously 13 points,
and also
any bonuses where everyone does that. And
also WrestleMania is always double bubble as well. So
it's 26 points then. Yeah, so obviously it can come down to the. I think it will go down to the wire essentially.
It'll go down to that last pinfall, we reckon. So should we just get straight into it then?
Yeah,
go with the predictions. So we are kicking things off with Brock Lesnar and Omos. So, do you want to go first, or do you want me to?
Yeah, I'll go, and then we'll flip-flop it. There's only two of us. Obviously, the others did their predictions. I think, shall we go with the them to not want to see what they've done? Obviously, I'll type it after the match. I'm not really paying attention to the other stuff. But yeah, I think in terms of this one then, so Omos obviously has had, in my opinion, an interesting WrestleMania history.
Yeah.
Where he had his title match that he won. Basically, so handedly, didn't they, at WrestleMania 30, whatever it was, in 2021. And then he had his loss. Did he beat Lashley or lose Lashley? He lost Lashley, didn't he, last year?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, he lost, and then he beat him another WrestleMania Backlash, I think. But yeah, so he's had two kind of interesting ones. This is one where, when fans saw it go online, they were a bit like, why can't we get Brock and Gunther? Why can't we get Brock and Lashley again? Or whatever it's going to be. It did feel like they were building up to Brock and Lashley at one point, didn't it? But it's kind of not gone that way. And obviously Lashley, like I said, someone who's not currently on the WrestleMania card, but he's bonkers. I think he was obviously WWE champion going into the one in 2021. But anyway, digress. I think that in this occasion, I think they've got to put Omos over. But do they? At the expense of Brock, who's had a bit of a weird year, hasn't he? But then it's just simple. I think sometimes it's just simple storytelling. I think the whole purpose of the match is to see Omos get F5'd. Actually, so I'll go back on what I just said then. I think the whole purpose of the match is to see Omos get F5'd. Don't imagine Brock will stick around to do Backlash or the other pay-per-views and stuff. Omos can be built back up. / perhaps with Triple H obviously in charge of creative, they might want to send him back to NXT for some more training or whatever. But the attraction of the match is seeing that happen, surely. Like, if we go back to WrestleMania 3, you know, Andre Vince gets slammed by Hogan. I think it's the same thing here, isn't it? Let's go with the Brock Lesnar win.
The Brock Lesnar win. So, yeah, I mean, there's been some talk that Brock could be, like, retiring after this. And if that's the case, then obviously it would go... obviously would want to go out, I guess, on his back, as they always say, with looking up at the lights. But I mean, I don't really envision them putting Omos. I mean, I don't get what they're gonna like gain from having Omos win. I mean, but then again, you could say the same about Lesnar. It's like, you know, what has Lesnar got to do? It's like there's a reason, I guess, that he's chosen to face Omos, kind of thing, because obviously it was well known that the match they pitched to him was Bray Wyatt, and obviously that was something that Brock didn't want to do. Yeah. And Brock Lesnar will do what Brock Lesnar wants to do. So
yeah, and obviously there's a Stone Cold match rumored at one point, but I think Brock's too physical for that.
Yeah,
and Brock doesn't want to. I think someone like Kevin Owens, he was happy to kind of go down, you know, not go down, like obviously Stone Cold one of the best of all time, but at this stage, it is you have to kind of reduce yourself to his level of mobility and kind of do the match kind of the way that Stone Cold will be happy with it.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't see Austin taking like 15 German suplexes.
No, not of his neck. Yeah, and you know, at the end of the day, one of those matches that should have happened over 20 years ago, but just never did. So they marketed it wrong, and Stone Cold bought up the company. And then they never got a chance to do it again, with Stone Cold obviously being for the health. Yeah, sorry.
No, that's fine. And but yeah, I think, as you say, the attraction I think is obviously Brock F5 in Omos, and I think that will happen. I think that may happen once, and I think it will be a quick match.
Yeah,
Brock Lesnar I think is going over this one.
Okay.
So I'm going to lock in Brock Lesnar, and I think it will be pretty quick as well.
Yeah, it can be. So, yeah.
Let's just see. So who did the other guys go for then?
They all went with Brock. Everyone's gone with Brock.
So everyone's gone for Brock.
Brock.
There we go. So we've got Lucas will be keeping scores on the doors. I would say my glamorous assistant. But, yeah. So right, we'll move on to the next match, and that is for the Raw Women's Championship. Bianca Belair versus a somewhat re-envisioned Asuka. Yeah, I couldn't think of the right word. I knew it began with re, but there we go. So I'll go first this time. So Bianca Belair I think she's slowly forging herself as like Miss WrestleMania. She seems to be like stepping up on the big stage. Recently, though, under Triple H, Asuka seems like she's doing some of the best work I've seen her do since moving up to the main roster from NXT. Like, she was decent under Vince. Obviously, she had that period where she was the champion, obviously, when Becky had gone off to have the baby. And yeah, I just think they really wasted her with that title reign, to be honest. It's like, you know, they didn't get the best out of it. With Asuka, you're best just to let her go out there and wrestle and do what she's going to do best. I mean, this is going to be, I think on the quiet, this could be one of the contenders for match of the weekend, because I think they're both very, very good in ring. I think Asuka will give Bianca a lot and make her look $1 million in this match. But mind you, though, Bianca's got the quality to just do that on her own as well. Who do I see coming out of it victorious? I think Bianca's retaining.
Really?
Yeah, I think there's going to be a Bianca retention. I mean, I think Bianca's got more to gain keeping hold of the Women's Championship than Asuka would have of winning it. I think you can build up more heels to then challenge Bianca, I think, because I don't really see like who you'd have then as like a next challenger if it was Asuka, because then it'd mean Bianca would then, I guess, go to the back of the queue sort of thing, and then, you know, without kind of recycling the same like Bayley, Becky, those kinds of people, who else then would you have? I mean, I'm quite liking the Chelsea Green character at the moment. I think, Sonya Deville, potentially, Bianca Belair, they could, a couple of combinations possibly that could work. But yeah, anyway, I'm totally going a bit off-piste here, but I will go with locking in Bianca Belair for the victory.
Okay.
By that reaction, it seems like you're going the other way.
Yeah, I think I'm looking at the fact that every championship reign in this company now is just forever. Bianca did win this belt at last year's WrestleMania, so it was going
that long.
Yeah. It's now a year running, matching the one that Becky Lynch did just literally a year before that, pretty much, year or two before that. And then obviously you had Bayley as well, the SmackDown Women's Championship for almost a year.
Yeah.
At one point, and Asuka, like you pointed out there, like she did get that kind of reign that kind of went off the reign, so to speak, because I think it was during lockdown, it was a different product, and they didn't seem to utilize her very well. I think she's due a Mania moment. I think they haven't. It's weird to think that she had her first WrestleMania. WrestleMania was it 32? No, after that was.
Was that the one after her and Nakamura both won the Rumble?
2018 then. So yeah. Well, we're now 5 years into Asuka on the main roster. She lost against Charlotte after the Rumble. I think to be fair, this could be. I agree with you. This could be one of the matches of the weekend. Bianca Belair, in my opinion, still has the best women's match at WrestleMania ever against Sasha Banks, and that's something which
that is your standard, I think.
Yeah. And I think that she's an incredible performer, someone who I mentioned several times, someone who, when we was able to go back and see WWE live, it was wonderful seeing her perform and seeing her at that caliber where she is of her own right, like a main eventer.
She's got her gender as well, hasn't she?
Yeah. She's strong. Like she's physical. She's she's athletic.
She's like the closest, I think, to a modern day China. I think Rhea as well. I mean, but I think though it would do her a bit of a disservice, like obviously saying that, because she's got a lot going.
Then that's the way China wasn't the best wrestler.
Yeah.
I think she's like the look people go for. Go, okay,
like powerful and stuff. Yeah, but I think she's got a bit of like everything, Bianca.
But outside of the match against Chris Jericho, name matches where she actually wrestling moves, it's kind of very few and far between. But anyway, that's not again another tangent of that. Yeah. But anyway, I think that a year is long enough. I think they've got to do something to shake it up.
Yeah.
The women's division is odd. I get that. But obviously, with them at the moment not really respecting the brand split for the looks of things, I know usually at WrestleMania season it does get a bit skewed anyway, but I just feel a bit like it's even more so this year where it is legitimate. Like people just are wrestling on both shows. Some people are wrestling on the wrong show. Some people are only wrestling on the show they're not even part of. If that makes sense. Some people are only wrestling on both shows. Or what I mean? So I think there's enough women to kind of move about. And I'd argue it's about time we break this mold, though, because it is. You look at the last few years of WrestleMania. Obviously, fair enough, Sasha Banks no longer part of the WWE, but it is Becky, Bianca, Bayley, Charlotte, Rhea. Just no one else worked there. There has to be, people that you can shake these things up with. But I will go with Asuka to be the new Raw Women's Champion. So we've gone separate there. And let's have a look at
the other boys gone.
Everyone else has gone for Bianca Belair, so I'm the only person who's gone out for Asuka.
On your own again. And also go over and check out Scott's interview with the Raw Women's Champion Bianca Belair. Big thank you, obviously, to our friends over at the Romans who deal with all of our press stuff and sorted out these amazing interviews. We have, obviously, Bianca Belair, and there are many other interviews over on our channel that you can go and check out. So we are now going to move on to the match that we know now will open the entirety of WrestleMania, and that is Austin Theory defending the United States Championship against John Cena. Now, let's not forget John Cena at WrestleMania 20 opened with the US title defense against the Big Show. The last time they were at WrestleMania Goes Hollywood, John Cena started his journey to become a 16-time world champion, defeating JBL for the
WWE,
it wasn't the Undisputed Championship. No, it was the WWE Championship at that point. That was the last time they had that beautiful Undisputed WWE title belt before the spinner came in the next one, which was, sorry, John. As much as you were a great champion, that belt was awful.
Probably the best-selling belt that they've ever had.
Best-selling belt, it was definitely like a great marketing tool for kids, but the look of it was just the look was disgusting of it, honestly.
Yeah, I never liked the spin. I actually grew to like it once it stopped spinning, though. That makes sense. I can't remember who. I think at one point when they're going to change it, they rated R1 for Edge, but Edge only ever had a title for like 5 minutes.
And then obviously Miz, they flipped it around.
Yeah. So this is cool. It served its purpose, and I guess for a lot of people growing up, it would have been their belt, I guess.
Yeah.
But I think, Anyway, John Cena has had an interesting WrestleMania thing in the last few years.
Yeah.
Obviously, he had the match against Bray Wyatt, Firefly Funhouse, which obviously match / angle / cinematic kind of thing. He had the weird match with Undertaker, obviously, where he basically got squashed in 5 minutes. And then obviously he was left off the card, not left off, he was unavailable for the last 2 years of wrestled on. Did he wrestle last year?
I'm not sure, I'll double check. But I know, he came back obviously as the Doctor of Thugonomics as well. Didn't he?
Yeah, because there was, I think that whatever year it was, there's 1 year where obviously he wasn't on at all. And it was the first time in a long time, And obviously, something Cena has said is that as each appearance that he's making, we are getting closer to the last time seeing him. And, I know he was a very, he is, he's not dead. He is a very divisive figure in the land of pro wrestling. Where you've got obviously people sit in the camp of really liking him, and people sit in the camp of not liking him at all. And people hate him, actually, really hate him. But I do think you can definitely feel him gone, because he was, I think, in my opinion, the last kind of solo person to kind of carry the company. Nowadays, I think WWE is a brand, like it's, people come for everything. But look,
so he wasn't on 38, so he wasn't on last year.
Yeah, that's the one.
The year before. Was he on the year before? I don't think it was on the year before either.
I think he made an appearance, I want to say. But anyway, I think that, he knows he's his time is not now anymore. I guess his time is almost up.
His time is up. His time is
now. And I don't see him being the person to want to just come back and, take something off Austin Theory like this. The only way, this is one where it could be the bounce back, though. Oh, this is really hard actually now. Because could they literally just have him win and then they announce a rematch the next night on Raw for obviously, I'm still going to call it WrestleMania Backlash. And then obviously he loses it, he drops it back. Because, him just having the US belt, even if it's like a week, a month, whatever, that's going to get so many eyes on the product. And it might, and opening WrestleMania, you're not opening WrestleMania, make people like booing and stuff.
Yeah, it's one of them. It's an awkward kind of thing, I think, because there's obviously talk of like big like returns or debuts at Raw after WrestleMania. So could it be maybe that Cena wins it and then does the John Cena Open Challenge on Raw, and then like a debut or a returning person comes in and wins the title there?
There's another one where I'm thinking, because this 2-night thing that they've established now, they're going to need. There's some stars I think they're going to have to do both nights. And I could even see something existing where Cena wins it on night 1 and loses it on night 2. So obviously, he wins it on night 1, and then they do the Sonny Deville, Adam Pearce, stuff with Austin Theory, and he gets his rematch the next night. Basically, because with the Miz as the guest host, the Miz could make it, the match for the next night kind of thing. And then, well, yeah, you know what? The more I'm thinking of it, the more I'm thinking. Yeah,
like
I'm looking in
LA Knight or something.
Well, that's the thing, yeah. John Cena has to defend the next night against LA Knight, or like you say, Open Challenge is going to be LA Knight on Raw. it opens up a lot of more possibilities.
Because I know there was talk of it being Switchblade Jay White, is it?
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of names like floating about. Zack Ryder's another one, potentially. Obviously, you've got returns, possibly Big E, Randy Orton, maybe.
Yeah.
But then, you know,
We haven't really heard much about this. It's weird.
It's one of those.
Actually, I quite like actually.
Imagine like running back in 2023, John Cena, Randy Orton.
David tell Vince is back if that match happens.
Yeah. And so it'll happen on Raw, then it'll happen on the next Raw, and then pay off at Backlash.
The thing is that the match they put on were good, but it was just like there were so many of them at one point.
They say a lot of it was just Vince forgot that he'd done that.
Well, also with this as well, remember there were years where there were like 16 pay-per-views.
Yeah.
So it was a case of you're going to get this. But anyway, I think the more I'm talking about, it happened quite a lot with me. I talk myself into something. I'm talking myself into the fact that I think Cena's going to win. Because they have the situation where they can just bounce it back, you know, even within the same night, the next night. Because they don't want to think, if you go to night 1 of WrestleMania only, you're going to want to see John Cena, aren't you? Like night 2 of WrestleMania only, you want to see John Cena. So, you know, whether that is like a promo segment or something like that, but it might just make sense to go, okay, you know what? Give him the match. And then, well, he could be one of the first, it's the first time this will happen. Someone's won a title and lost a title, you know, in WrestleMania weekend. It could be a novelty kind of thing. Because the amount of traction they get on it, I'm locking in John Cena as the winner.
So you say about obviously talking yourself into John Cena winning. Like, for me, my pick was always going to be John Cena.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, I still think it's going to be Cena wins the title and then does the open challenge on Raw and somebody comes out and answers it. That's, you know, I think I said that when the match was first announced, when it was first rumoured that Cena was going to be there, that it was going to be. I don't know who it's going to be on the Raw, but yeah, I definitely feel as though it could be. It could even be maybe someone coming up from NXT, perhaps.
Yeah.
And he puts them over, and that's his way of like. So it's like he's had the match with Theory, given Theory the rub of having the match.
Braun Breaker, maybe.
Possibly, or like Carmelo Hayes. Well, obviously we don't know what's going to happen with the. I reckon whoever loses the Breaker and Carmelo Hayes match is going up to the main roster.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Triple H will want Braun. I think he want Braun. I think he's that star that you can't really overlook for too long, because especially with obviously AEW, you know, I think they will sniff for him very quickly. So I think
it'd be interesting if he goes if he reverts him back to using the Steiner name though.
It would be
Rex Steiner.
It would be, but I think he's established now as Braun. Like they've got the Braun chant, he's got merchandise. I think it's too far in now. So you're locking in John Cena then?
I'm locking in John Cena, yeah.
Okay, that's interesting, that, because
to be honest, as I say, that was always going to be the thing I was going to go with. Actually, was him winning it and then losing it on the Raw after Mania, and then go off and do some more movies and rock up a bit later in the year when there's a bigger patch on the back of his head. So.
Look, it makes sense though. I think. I mean, by the way, other people, Rob is the only person who went with Austin Theory to retain the championship. We've all gone for John Cena. That's an interesting one.
Yes, really like it's normally you that goes different to everyone else. Right, so next match we are going to go, and that is the 6-woman tag team match with Trish Stratus teaming with the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions Lita and Becky Lynch to take on the team of Bayley, Io Sky, and Dakota Kai of Damage Control. So, I think what they're going to end up doing with this is, I reckon they are going to have the winners, much like what you were saying with the US title. I think the winners of this match, whoever comes out of it, so if it's, I reckon, Becky, the team, Becky, Lita, and Trish, if they kind of come out of it, obviously they'll still be champions anyway. But I reckon they could potentially go on to night 2 to face the winners of the Women's Showcase match for the tag titles on night 2. So I think they did something similar, was it either last year or the year before with was it Natty and
Tamina? The gauntlet thing, didn't they?
Yeah, and then so that could be something Triple H does. I mean, 'cause it kind of, to me, makes like no sense having the women's tag titles and them not being defended over the weekend. If you've got a match where you've got 4 women's tag teams, it's like, why would you not just chuck the tag titles in there? But it's different with the men's. At least the men's are actually being defended. The women's ones, it's like, why would you just put your champions in a 6-woman tag match? But anyway, we're digressing again. But so I think the team with Becky, Lita, and Trish. Now you've got 2 legends in there in Becky and in Lita and Trish. Sorry, and then you got to think: would it be a case that they want to protect Lita and Becky as the tag champions and not have them win the match, and have them win the match, or do they give Damage Control the rub and then have Damage Control go over the women's tag champions? I guess the way you could protect that is maybe have Trish take the fall. But yeah, I mean, there was talk that potentially Trish would be maybe turning heel to then face Becky at some point, but that may be a little bit further down the line. Because I mean, it's weird because part of me thinks Damage Control, but then it's like, do they really want to make the tag champs lose, having just won the belts? I mean, WrestleMania, it's like all the crazy stuff starts happening around WrestleMania season. But so, which way? I'm gonna go with Damage Control, but I don't think they're gonna win clean. I think it's gonna be like some shenanigan type finish and possibly Trish taking the fall.
Yeah, that makes sense. See, I don't think it's going to lead to them having a title match the next night. I hate when we do this, though. I hate when we do this. It was done with the Intercontinental belt for a few years when they had the Money in the Bank to WrestleMania, where that champion would always basically be in the Money in the Bank, which it was just annoying because I went through a period where the title wasn't defended, but we'll get on that a bit later on. I think that it doesn't really matter because they've kind of flip-flopped 50-50 booking with this kind of feud, haven't they? The whole time. They had obviously at the start, it was very, very loaded in Damage Control's favour. I think now then they had the addition obviously of Lita and Trish, who have kind of shifted at the other side, and now it's going too much the baby faces winning. So it's like, I think it doesn't really matter like with this one who wins or loses. I think as well with Trish, I know the word retirement is a hard one nowadays for wrestlers to kind of say, but she did the whole thing with Charlotte, didn't she, a few years ago, where it was that was meant to be her last match, and now here we are again, and it's a case of, in my opinion, if she turns heel, and then she had another match after that again, I'm like, how long can you really go this for? But I guess that answer is like however long she can physically do it. I guess potentially she kind of jumped the shark a little bit by retiring a bit earlier, or announcing retirement a bit earlier. But I'll be honest, it's not really a match I'm looking forward to, so I'm not going to do much time talking about it, but I do think Damage Control will win. So I'll go with Damage Control. In terms of how the others went with this one, we are clean and sweep for Damage Control. I think as well, this will be one where I think, as much as Becky Lynch is obviously on one side of the ring, I think it is the fact that we don't want the legends potentially going over the full-time talent, because you have to imagine that even if tag titles aren't defended on Mania, Becky and Lita won't stick around, obviously, to be defending them much longer. Though I don't know why. Like I said, I think I said this previously. I mean, if you've got people who can clearly still go, and she hasn't made a retirement announcement, Lita, so she's able to be booked, just go with it. Just go with it.
All I'd say is stop doing the moonsault.
Yeah. I mean, I think,
obviously, neither of us.
The fine physical specimens that we are. But no, I just think, at the end of the day, she's watching. I think she's 47, 48.
Yeah.
It's a case of, look, she can go for a couple more years. She's got the star power. She's got the look. You know, like she's got still some matches in her. Just let her go.
And there's enough women on the roster that would probably see Lita as like their dream match as well. And it's like, if she's got 4 or 5 matches in her a year, it's like,
yeah, do it.
Because
it's like,
a couple of the girls get in and work with her as Trish as well. There's options of having them like as a team. There's options of having them as like standalone matches. And
I think as you talked about Asuka earlier, Asuka and Lita could be a good one.
Asuka and Lita definitely. Yeah.
Tackle down the line.
Like to see Lita and Shotzi would be pretty good as
well. Yeah, alternative. You got there's lots of stuff for them, but it's a case of obviously I guess it's going to work out. But it just felt really odd when Lita Evolution a few years ago when she did that, and a few months later she was just wrestling in Mexico.
Yeah,
it's just like surely like if she wrestles in Mexico she can just wrestle on WWE. It's like, but
and they're obviously Lita and Trish both Hall of Famers, and they just announced the latest member of the Hall of Fame was Stacy Keibler as well.
But I think that's weirdly it's kind of overdue in a way. Because she kind of hasn't. But I always feel it's a bit like when they haven't announced someone, it's because maybe they're going to bring them back in to do something. But I think she very much made it clear, like, I am done with wrestling. Like, she hasn't done anything for at least 10 years now.
Yeah, she's got
kids and she's got her own business outside of this.
And all this and that.
So it's just like, sure you like put her in, and she's part of a period which obviously
Duchess of Dudleyville.
But I'm down for that.
Yeah, she had a decent little run in WWE, and the run that she had with Test as well. It's I'm always surprised when every year when the Hall of Fame comes out, and there's always one woman's name that I think, why the hell is this woman not in the Hall of Fame yet? Victoria.
Jazz as well.
Jazz as well, yeah. I think Jazz probably, I'm thinking, is it next year when they do, is it Philly next year?
Yeah.
And Philly, obviously, the home of ECW. I would honestly wouldn't be surprised next year if we see Paul Heyman in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Another one, long overdue. Why the hell is Paul Heyman not in the Hall of Fame?
I think particularly with Victoria, there was that thing about how she exited. She said she wanted to leave, and then she went to Impact, didn't she? Like very soon after.
Yeah.
I guess a lot of her stuff since then has been an Impact. But she did Rumble, didn't she? Like last year or so. So maybe they're starting to make those, with a vision again potentially. Yeah.
Right, so let's get on to the next match, which is I think this is probably going to be like your high flying match with all these free flippy dippy indie guys, the ones that Braun Strowman hates basically. No, this is just going to be, what is it? They say 3 big beefy men slapping beef basically in Sheamus, Gunther, and Drew McIntyre for the Intercontinental Championship. As we have already said, go back over to the main Rebellious Noise channel. You can see Scott talking with Drew McIntyre back at Clash at the Castle. Also had a word with Imperium, so Gunther and Ludwig Kaiser. Unfortunately, Sheamus, mate. Come on, anytime you want to come on Rebellious Noise, mate, you're more than welcome. Drew McIntyre. There is also a more in-depth interview with Drew McIntyre back on the Rebellious Noise channel, not before we were Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling, where me and Scott actually talked to him about bringing back the old Broken Dreams theme song.
Yeah,
we heard a little bit of at Clash at the Castle, which you were live and in attendance for. You and Scott were down there doing some press for us, and it's a really good show. Obviously, I watched it from its very seat, actually, the comfort of my own home, pretty much. So as we go back, Intercontinental Championship, I think Gunther's done a very good job with it. He is very close to breaking Honky Tonk Man. I knew it ended in man. In getting Honky Tonk Man's record. Sheamus obviously has never won the Intercontinental title. It's the only one that he needs to become a Grand Slam champion. And obviously, Drew McIntyre, when he came in as the chosen one.
Well, that was like his ceiling, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was
the original ceiling before he left, and obviously came back. he was like Intercontinental champion and then kind of went down from there very, very quickly to obviously 3MB and then released and then back in the company via NXT and winning the Rumble and beating Lesnar, within 3 months, essentially,
And then I think everyone was kind of hoping that he was going to go and defeat Roman at Clash at the Castle, but obviously that didn't come to fruition. But yeah, so Intercontinental Championship. Who do we think is coming out of it? I think it's you first this one, isn't it?
Oh, okay, yeah. Damn. So the triple threats do make things much harder to predict. And I think WWE know this. They know this because obviously there was all singles matches, just 2 options to pick from. There can be some obvious things here. And so it's a case of, do they want this record to be broken from Gunther? And I'm going to go with my bias here and say no, simply because every belt, every reign is just forever. And I think it's getting to the point where I don't know why this needs to be a thing anymore. Even this year at the Rumble, didn't they? They had the time things broken, didn't they? The time records broken. And that followed a year, even last, 2 years ago. Bianca Belair's win when she had a long one.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know why they're obsessed with this as a statistic now. It's really quite odd that it's gone that way. I think, as well, with Triple H being in charge, what I'm kind of hoping for is to go to that happy medium where, if you verse this with like a year like 99, 2000, 2002, where there were lots of championship changes, like constantly.
Yeah.
But now we're getting like none. We were getting none. I think we need to go in the middle. Personally, I think that the person who needs to win this match is Drew McIntyre. I think that he deserves to have, obviously he was champion for so long, and I think that ship has sailed for him in the main championship picture, just because of how they've done things. But I think that he deserves a moment in front at WrestleMania, and this would be a good one for him to do so. It would be nice for Sheamus to get his kind of Grand Slam. Again, it's long overdue.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think that Sheamus is just such an incredible performer.
Oh, he is.
I think,
100%.
and I think he's actually just got better. Like, no matter where you put him on the card or anything like that, like, I think Sheamus has always delivered for, well, pretty much almost 15 years now, I think.
Yeah.
And even obviously wrestling over here, like, he was fantastic back then. But I don't think this is the right time for him to have that.
Got the lovely soundtrack of London in the background as well. So
I think as well, because both Drew and Sheamus lost at Clash of the Castle and home turf, I think one of them has to win, and I think just but the skin of his teeth, I'll give it to Drew. I think that it'll be a good feel-good moment that everyone will really appreciate, and it's the right decision to happen, in my opinion. I think
it's to win a title in front of fans.
Yeah, finally. It must be weird. It'd be really weird for him because he hasn't done that since NXT belt.
Yeah, because 36 was when he won the title, and that was literally right at the start of the pandemic thing.
Absolutely nobody. And then but I think this honestly, and I guess I'm going to sound like a massive mark for WWE here, but this honestly could be the best match inside a ring of the year. Yeah, like it is potentially one of the best matches ever to be at WrestleMania. It is of that caliber because all three of these guys are so bloody good.
They are.
And it's going to be probably the most intense match, I guess, maybe WrestleMania history, potentially one of them.
It's not going to be for the faint of heart.
It is going to be brutal, and hopefully these guys, this is what I'm hoping. That the Brock Omos match, that's going to go short. Damage Control 6-woman tag, that can go short. I'm hoping this one gets the time to tell that story.
Give them a solid 25 minutes.
This is one where, honestly, like, if we didn't have the Bloodline, I'd say even this could be one of the main events for night one.
Exactly.
But I guess the Bloodline stuff and Hell in a Cell, and obviously the other matches, probably not going to happen. But this could be a hard one to follow as well. Imagine if I could follow this match, and whichever match goes next. Maybe they bring that guy that did the Rumble? Hardy, that's it, that awful guy. They bring him in to do a little talking.
Not Matt or Jeff.
Not Matt or Jeff. The idiot who did the Rumble performance. They bring him in. But my pick for this one is Who did I say? Oh, Drew McIntyre. Who do you think?
Oh, right.
Yep.
So you've got Gunther. So at time of recording, Gunther's at 290 days. What was Honky Tonk Man? What are we saying? Honky Tonk Man.
It's over a year of 16 months. It's like 434. It's like 400 something.
So I reckon. So that would be what, around SummerSlam maybe. SummerSlam-ish time potentially. One thing I would say I'm certain of is I think Sheamus is definitely going to win the Intercontinental title at some point in 2023. That I'm sure of. The case is when.
Yeah, 454.
So 454 days. So I'm thinking potentially they could have Gunther retain here. Potentially have him maybe pin Sheamus. Then do the rematch with Drew at Backlash. Because then Drew could be like, well, I wasn't pinned. And then go on to Money in the Bank, which is literally just like over there, pretty much across the water, like right next to you, like on your doorstep, isn't it? Like,
I will be in attendance for that.
Yeah, he's next door neighbours. So yeah, WWE, reach out if anyone wants interviews. See my man Lucas over
I'm already there, so you may as well.
Yeah, he's already there. Yeah, we'll give him a microphone, shove that in your face. But yeah, so yeah, I reckon they could potentially do Sheamus over here because we know obviously how London, England being Sheamus's hometown, much like Cardiff, Wales is Drew McIntyre's hometown.
One part of the UK, but we'll do.
It's all like for like, isn't it, pretty much? But yeah, I've got a feeling they could actually do that. They could do Sheamus winning it at Money in the Bank, possibly.
Okay.
Because I don't see any reason for them taking the title off of Gunther now, unless they are building Gunther up to be the first challenger for Cody, if it indeed is Cody Rhodes that comes out of this with the championship.
They like doing that as well, don't they? They like having obviously the first challenger, someone lose a belt and go on.
Yeah, it's like, what is it they say, like losing upwards or something, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, I think I'm going to lock in Gunther. I think it's probably the wisest option. It could be a case of like Drew hits the Claymore, goes to pin Gunther, and then Sheamus pulls him off. Sheamus hits like the bro kick on him, and then they're both like, I thought we were meant to be mates, blah, blah, blah. And Gunther just comes in and just like wrecks the pair of them. Imperium shenanigans come in.
Yeah, there's a lot that can happen, especially
Kaiser, Vinci, that kind of stuff. And
yeah, I think definitely Imperium, the other Imperium members are eating bro kicks / claymores.
Yeah.
I think that could be safe to say. Because again, I think what people forget with WrestleMania is that obviously everyone has their little part in this and everyone has their little WrestleMania moment. And it may be for for Ludwig and think that they are just going to get bro kicked. But that is their WrestleMania moment. That is, they work the whole year to obviously get that moment in front of the biggest crowd that WWE have on the biggest stage, on the biggest weekend for wrestling. And that might be the moment. But so you're looking in Gunther.
I'm going to look in Gunther, I think. Yeah, I think a Gunther retention. Because, the thing as well is a lot of people have to think, obviously this is WrestleMania, not every title is going to change hands as much as people want titles to change hands. I think Gunther's going to win. I mean, what did the other boys say?
It's good. Yeah, everyone went Gunther apart from me.
Cool.
So, yeah.
There we go. So.
That's normal. If you are joining up the way, feel free to leave a comment and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, of course. Yeah. We like to be interactive with people. We like some of our own voices, but it does get to the point where we like to hear what we have to say. So please leave a comment. if you are watching, enjoying what we're saying. And don't forget all the content coming up over the weekend. Just go through it again if people are joining us. Of course, we did the red carpet preview. Sorry, Scott and Rob did that the other day. That's now up. We're currently doing the predictions and preview. And then we will have the live build-up for both night 1 and night 2 of WrestleMania Hollywood. And there'll be live instant reaction as soon as the show finishes, which is looking like it'll be 4 hours each night.
Stupid o'clock in the morning over here in the UK.
Yeah, it'll be breakfast time. But that's for both night 1 and night 2. Approximately about 5 a.m. in the UK. Don't know how that factors into the US. I think it's 5 hours behind, whatever it is. And then, of course, a bigger recap and review show, date and time to confirm for that. That's all over the WrestleMania weekend. And I think we are doing stuff for Raw after Mania as well, but that to be announced. And we've done loads of stuff about Hall of Fame, respectful and disrespectful moments during it. I think we covered kind of everything with that. But yeah, that's all to come. And don't forget to subscribe and leave comments if you like what you are watching.
Yeah, and we'd obviously like to hear what you guys are going to think. Like, who do you think are going to win these matches as well? You know, it's obviously we obviously have our own little predictions table, but it's nice for you fans to get involved as well.
Yeah,
Have a little go yourself and be like, oh yeah, I think this person's going to win. And yeah, challenge us pretty much. You never know; it could influence us for the next lot of predictions that we do. So
yeah, definitely.
Obviously, I want to get my hands on that trophy, whatever it is. But for now, I'm happy with my Rebellious Noise cup there. So a mug for a mug. So there we go. Right, so let's move on to Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley. Match I think that many people are predicting could well headline night 1. Obviously, it would make sense, I guess, the fact of obviously Royal Rumble winner, main event WrestleMania, but obviously we know that's not always the case. But yeah, so Charlotte, Rhea, let's have a quick look. Scott did have a brief chat with Rhea Ripley as well. It's not always about wrestling. She got into alternative music, scaring people, creating memes. And yeah, it's just an all-round lovely person. So yeah, go and check that out. Obviously, and all the other content that is over on the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. And we also have some old wrestling stuff on the main Rebellious Noise channel as well. But yeah, so we are once again predicting Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte Flair for the SmackDown Women's Championship. This is me first this time. So I think this is Rhea Ripley's crowning moment. I think they've built her up too much to not do the change here. I just think it's the right time for Rhea to carry it forward. Like Charlotte, I think she always was like that kind of transitional champion from when she beat Ronda for it.
That's such a weird time.
Yeah. Considering she didn't even know herself what was happening until the day of the show, when she came back and just won it.
It's kind of a weird thing. It was almost like a Vince McMahon move, but
yeah,
but it wasn't. We know it clearly wasn't.
But yeah, so yeah, nice and quick with this one. For me, Rhea Ripley all day long. I think is winning this match. I think they could have a really good match. Charlotte, obviously, I don't think she's had her best matches since she's been back. But yeah, I think Rhea's just got that extra snap about her now. I think that she could really drag a good match out of Charlotte Flair here. And yeah, I mean, they had a really good match at WrestleMania 36 when they faced off for the NXT Championship.
Oh, yeah.
Which was interesting, a role reversal, because that was Rhea Ripley, the champion, going into it, and Charlotte Flair, the Royal Rumble winner, challenging her for that championship. And obviously, they had all the vignettes with Rhea in Raymond James Stadium, and then that got moved then to obviously to be at the Performance Center. So,
but then it also shows, to be fair, the lack of depth of the women's division, because we're going back to a match that, we're going to get a lot of these now with the women, where it's going to be like the second time at WrestleMania, because they won't book anyone else. But you think Charlotte Flair, you think Rhea Ripley.
Once in a lifetime turns into like 3 times in 3 years.
I must admit, I'm not been liking this build. I think that it's wrong. It's just the wrong thing, in my opinion. It's all just wrong. Like, I think Charlotte Flair has proven that she can't actually be babyface anymore because she's got the issue that we'll get to this later on in the year. Obviously, we've got the King of the Ring pay-per-view coming up, haven't we? King and Queen of the Ring, coming up later in the year. But it's where the gimmick dictates what you are, and Charlotte has that. It is the fact that her gimmick is that she's entitled, that she's obviously second generation wrestler, she's a Flair, and it makes her default the villain. But then we've got Rhea Ripley, who's part of a stable, who are villain and who are using the numbers game and the dark elements of that numbers game to kind of be villain too. And they've not really sold me on the match personally. And I really don't think it should main event night one at all. I think personally it should be the main event of SmackDown this week. Just get it out of the way, give them the time they need. I'm worried this one, it just has no heat on it at all. I think it'll be a good match, but I'm just worried out of all the, I'm worried that they might give this one more time because of the Rumble thing than the better match, in my opinion, which is Bianca and Asuka, which again, I think has had a poor bill too. So it's interesting we're saying this. But yeah, I think for this reason, actually, I think that Charlotte Flair will retain. Like you said previously, not every title can change hands. I think a couple of title changes already. So I will go with Charlotte Flair to retain. I think, and weirdly, I don't think actually it will hurt Rhea. I think it might actually hurt Rhea her winning it because then inevitably Charlotte Flair will get the rematch. So you won't be to escape this having to face Charlotte Flair again.
They just want to get her up to 16. She's at 14 at the minute. So they want to get her up to that 16 title ring.
Yeah, even Charlotte's had a weird few years at WrestleMania where there's a year where she's meant to be on, did the whole... It's bonkers saying this out loud when Ric Flair was with the father of Lacey Evans' baby. Did that whole thing and then she wasn't on the show. And I don't know, she's one of those people that, I never count out. So I'll say Charlotte Flair.
So you're saying Charlotte, I'm going Rhea, and the other guys both went for Rhea Ripley. So, yeah, interestingly, so you mentioned about SmackDown as well. So on SmackDown this week, it's WrestleMania SmackDown actually, they have the Andre the Giant Battle Royal on that.
Yeah.
So participants in that include Bobby Lashley, who we interviewed. We've got Johnny Gargano, Dexter Lumis, Rick Boogs, Dolph Ziggler, Elias, Mustafa Ali, Xavier Woods, Madcap Moss, Luke Gallows, Carl Anderson, Baron Corbin, Bronson Reed, Karrion Kross, LA Knight, Cedric Alexander, Shelton Benjamin, Marseille, Mansoir, Top Dollar. I don't know what he's going to be like getting over the top rope. Ashanti the Adonis, Ridge Bloody Holland, Pete Dunne, Butch, Pete Dunne. We've got Angel Umberto, Santos Escobar, Joaquin Wilde, and Cruz del Toro in that match. Surprising, there's a few names there that are surprising they're not on the actual full Mania card, like Lashley and that as well.
We're just on that stage now where we're already at 13 matches, and we've talked already about potentially a couple of these matches already becoming ones next night. Like we spoke about the Cena thing, potentially. We spoke obviously about the women's tag belts. So we could be looking at 15, 16 matches and still not having all the talent on. But it is, it is cruel for some people. I think Lashley the most is the one that sticks out. Oh, I think your laptop is unplugged, maybe. But yeah, that's what I think.
So next one we are going to go into is Edge and Finn Balor, which will take place, this one, inside Hell in a Cell.
What colour it will be? I guess it's going to be red. It looks red in the background there, and they've kept this red thing going, haven't they?
Yeah, it seems like it. Seems like they are going to go with the red. You can also go back and check out the interview that Scott did with Finn Balor, where he talks a bit about being a heel. He talks about the future of the Demon. We know, obviously, that Finn Balor will be bringing back the Demon persona here for this match against Edge in this one. So, yeah, we throw over to you for this one, I think, first.
Yeah.
Edge and Balor.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I was listening to Cornette on this a few weeks back, and this is one of those where I'm still at disbelief that this feud's still going on. And I feel sorry. I feel more and more sorry for Edge each time. And I'm not even the biggest Edge fan. Dan knows this for certain. Like, I'm not the biggest Edge fan. But I'm literally just like, can this guy not do anything that doesn't go on forever? This has been a feud that's been a year almost. And, surely like Edge and Beth, they got their win at the Rumble. That should have been it. Well, Rumble with Chamber, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That should have been it. Over. Finite. Done. Like, why we need to have another match is beyond me. But here we are. And now it's a case of, like earlier on, do we go with the legend winning and then obviously having their moment, or do we go with the stable winning? And Finn Balor obviously does seem like someone who Triple H would want to push and promote. Then Edge we kind of need this done. So I will go with, I guess to be fair, you need to put people over, doesn't they? So yeah, Finn Balor.
Yeah, I think for me, obviously Finn being the demon as well.
Wait, is he the demon in this match?
He's the demon in this match. Yeah.
Oh yeah, so yeah, Finn definitely.
Demon Finn Balor. So for me, I think definitely Finn Balor will go over in this, I reckon. I think Edge obviously, said before, doesn't need the win, does he?
No,
really. And I think he's got enough respect for Finn that he'll put Finn over in this one, I reckon. And I've got visions of them giving this one probably like the 30-40 minute kind of thing, but both these guys can obviously do.
Well, Edge like only almost does long matches.
Yeah, I think Edge is like basically. Probably got it written in his contract. He's not allowed to do less than half an hour at WrestleMania. Pretty much like Triple H, to be honest. But nice and short for me. This one, I think Finn Balor's gonna quite easily go over.
To be fair, we do have Scott who said Edge, but everyone else has gone with Balor. Not knowing it, I don't know if Scott also knew that Balor was the demon, but just say Edge was the demon on our sheet, so I'm assuming he did know. But yeah, that's where we are.
Okay, so we go now into the first of the WrestleMania Showcase matches, which will feature Braun Strowman and Ricochet taking on the Alpha Academy, taking on the Viking Raiders, and taking on the Street Profits. Now, Street Profits, very interesting interview there with Scott. Montez Ford. In this interview, pretty much just stood there with the cup like that the entire time. Hopefully, we'll see a little bit more action from Montez Ford at WrestleMania. So, just get those teams up once again. It is me going first this time. Braun Strowman and Ricochet, Street Profits, Alpha Academy, Viking Raiders. So I'm not sure whether this is, they've not really announced whether this is just like a fatal four-way, like one fall to a finish, or whether it's going to be elimination style.
I think one fall.
But I would go with the Street Profits to win this one. I think they're going to have a really, really good showing. Definitely see huge things again for them in 2023. Not just in tags, I could easily see them both going on decent singles runs as well, and being that kind of team that don't necessarily like split up because of any like ill will, but they're like, like the New Day are pretty much. We're still going to be a team, we're still going to be mates, but like you go off and do your thing, I'll go off and do my thing. We'll still come together and still be the Street Profits, but at the same time we'll be Angelo Dawkins and Montez Ford. But I definitely think that there's going to be some really cool stuff. Be interesting to see who can get highest with their with their moves: Montez Ford, Ricochet, or Otis. Obviously, Otis. Obviously, representing people like us in the maximum male models. Obviously, us two fine specimens of human beings. For me, it's quite easy. I think the Street Profits going over in this one. We do have a comment here from Alex Davenport. Shush!
Shush, please. So our neighbours, sorry.
And then we got WrestleMania 20 had some bad fatal 4-way tag matches, but high hopes this time. Yeah, us too. That's exactly.
19 and 20 both had 4-way tags, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's just basically, I think that was before they had the idea of doing a battle royal. So, right, how can we get people on the show? So.
But they had tag teams. I mean, I think this is an interesting one because there is obviously talk about obviously Otis leaving Alpha Academy and that team going elsewhere and Chad Gable getting a singles push. There has literally been talk about Montez Ford being a singles push since I think in WrestleMania 1 it's been happening. It's been that long. Before they were born.
Rumor has it the Iron Sheik is still WrestleMania 17 as well.
I think, but yeah, I hope they don't. I hope they don't get either team personally. I think Alpha Academy have I forget. Yeah, I always get confused. Obviously American Alpha, didn't we?
That's with Kurt Angle's son, you mean?
Yeah. But yeah, I hope we don't get that split. It's nice to see the Viking Raiders. I'm a big fan of Viking Raiders, always have been, in this. And I imagine they will do some really good stuff with everyone involved. There's a lot of good combinations here, to be fair.
And then I'm surprised that Nicholas is not in it, though. I guess you could say it's Braun and Rickolas, maybe. There we go, Rickolas.
That's a thrown together tag team, but it's a way for Ricochet to get onto the card, obviously. But yeah, I think the Street Profits will win this. It is annoying if they do change the rules late in the week and decide that it's elimination. It could set up something else, but I think it's at the moment I'll stay safe and say the Street Profits will win this one.
I mean, I'm going to just quickly check if there is any kind of info on this one. But while I'm checking that out, we go over to the women's side of things, which is the women's showcase match. We have Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, that well-known tag team. We also have the well-known tag team of Natalya and Shotzi. We have Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler, and the two question marks were filled last night on Monday Night Raw when that prestigious multi-time tag team of Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville become the final team in this match. So, obviously, Rob and Scott didn't know what the full combination was at the time of their recording, so they are going to be doing their ones on the build-up show, which you can watch on the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel here. So, I think we will throw over to you for this one, and I'm going to check the rules of the match.
I don't care an option. I mean, come on, this is we are scraping the barrel of this one. Let's be real. It is just to get Ronda on WrestleMania, I guess. Somehow, I think that. But in saying that, okay, I don't watch the weekly TV. But when I do, obviously read the results, see clips. I do see the fact that a lot of these teams have been kind of having bits and pieces, haven't they? Over the past few months. Yeah.
It's saying it's a fatal 4-way tag team match.
Yeah, it's just one.
So it will be one fall to a finish.
Obviously, it is weird this whole night 1, night 2 stuff though, because it does kind of shift things. There's stuff that gets announced and re-announced or whatever. But I do think that this one really does have Ronda's team winning written all over it. I don't see an option that doesn't. I don't see Ronda losing to people who, in that sort of way, she wouldn't really be even in the ring with if it wasn't for the fact that she's just not facing for the Raw SmackDown Women's Championship. Exactly. So I'd go with the Ronda's team winning. It'd be good for Shayna as well. Yeah, Shayna's another one who I think criminally hasn't really got the moment.
See, I'm surprised that this wasn't the tag title match. Ronda and Shayna challenging for the tag belts. Surprisingly. But yeah, we've also got a thing here. Sonya from Alex Davenport again. Sonya Deville had some underrated entrance themes, in my opinion. I prefer her original theme. Yeah, same with Shayna Baszler as well. Shayna's was banging. But then it got to that point, obviously, with the Royal Rumble where they started playing entrance music, especially for the women, and everyone's just literally looking and thinking, what on earth is going on? Who's coming out here? You had to literally read the screen to see who was, who was coming out pretty much. So basically my nice, short and sweet is going to be Ronda and Shayna all day long. There's obviously no debate in my mind about that.
No, fair enough. Easy agreement there.
Yeah,
so we haven't got the picture from the other boys, so I mean, I guess let's move forward.
Yeah, probably. I'll be honest with you, I'd be surprised if either of them go away from.
Yeah, it's not one worth missing a point, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, 2 points, isn't it? Now?
Yeah, 2 points. So yeah, 2 points.
So yeah, we now go into the match that has kind of been anticipated for a while. It is going to be Dominik Mysterio taking on his father, Rey Mysterio. Congratulations as well, Rey Mysterio, who will be enshrined in the WWE Hall of Fame this Friday night just after SmackDown. So you'll have the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. Then we'll have the Hall of Fame ceremony where Rey Mysterio will enter the Hall of Fame. Was I the only one that literally thought Dom was going to attack in the Hall of Fame to set this match up?
No, I think because it's separate things. Like Hall of Fame is not a worked thing, so I think it'd
be interesting to see what Dom what kind of character Dom's like in character at Hall of Fame.
I mean, they might do something where Petty, they might do the whole he walks out. I think with Hall of Fame, it's a bit like how they want like that scoopness, don't they? That kind of celebrity kind of feel to it, and even more so, I guess, in actual Hollywood. So potentially they might do a thing where Dom kind of walks out and it kind of broken the exclusive break on WWE.com, which I'm like, well, where else in the bloody bay? Like, you own the company. Like, you don't want to put it on like AEW.com, are you? Like,
do you think Rey Mysterio is going to follow Will Smith at the Oscars and come to Dominik and say, "Keep my watch name out of your mouth," and just give him another slap? But yeah, father and son, a bit of discipline going to be given out to Dominik potentially. This is, I think, going to go to me first for this one.
Yeah.
Dominik for me all day long. I think it's always been Rey's goal to face his son, even before Dominik was even like a teenager. Rey said his dream was always to face his son at WrestleMania, and why would you want to face Dominik and then beat him? It just, to me, makes no sense whatsoever. So all day long has to be Dominik going over in this one.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that Rey has gifted us with so many moments over the years, and it is bonkers that he's still able to perform at such a high level. Over 30 years into his career, like over 30. I know he obviously did start very young, and he's blessed by that. But I think even still, like seeing the fact that he can do the level that he's doing, still is phenomenal. But I think that, Rey will be one where he just want to pass it down. He understands very, very much how the business works, obviously coming from that Mexican heritage, and this is how it is done. So I think it'd be a bang of a match, though, as well.
Oh, 100%.
I think there'd be some interesting things here that potentially we haven't seen in WWE before, surrounding lucha wrestling and surrounding potentially stuff that Rey will want to do. Because I do imagine Rey will be someone who he would have a spot that he would only do in this match. And that's the only time you will ever see it. And I think that knowing the performer that he is and the moments he's able to give us, I think that it will be one to really watch. But again, I think it's one where as much as there is a big story going into this, I do hope that it is kept within that kind of 12, 15-minute mark, because with respect, it's not the main event of either night.
No.
We spoke about bigger matches on the card, and it's one where it can be done in that 12-minute mark, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think as well, it could even be a case of obviously Rey and Dom wins, takes the mask off, like rips the mask off Rey, puts the mask on, and it's like that kind of passing of the torch kind of thing. But yeah, I think we're both. I think, are we all in agreement?
Yeah.
Everyone said Dominik Mysterio. So yeah, Dom, ex-con Dom. Be interesting though to see if there's going to be any kind of role that Damian Priest plays in it. Obviously, we've not mentioned him really.
The only one that's not, I think it'd get involved in the Hell in a Cell match.
Like, yeah, possibly.
For some reason in wrestling, it works in reverse, if you know. So you want to keep people out the ring, they will go in the ring. It's that simple. So you have the cell, but they will break in or something, or they may be attacked before. Because again, like we're talking about in the IC title match, Damian Priest WrestleMania moment might be just getting launched into getting speared maybe through the cage or whatever by Edge, or taking a spear from Edge in the match. But yeah.
Yeah, and as you see flash up on the screen there as well, we had the opportunity to interview Damian Priest not once but twice. A really lovely guy as well. I'm sure character-wise, he would not like us saying that. Yeah, it was super gracious with his time and that, and yeah, really, really good interview and a nice insight into his career so far in WWE and previously as Punishment Martinez on the independent scene as well. So yeah, let's go on now to the next match, which is Seth freaking Rollins versus Logan Paul. Oh, right. So your first go on this one.
This is difficult to predict because, right, so we've got Logan Paul won last year in his tag match against Mysterio, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Did he lose to The Miz? No, he beat The Miz, isn't he?
I think so, yeah.
He beat The Miz. He then lost to Roman Reigns in his third ever match, which was for the WWE Championship, right? So now he's kind of, this could be one where it could go the other way. Obviously, any match can go the other way, I guess. Bit of silly saying that. It's annoying because Rollins is still up there as like one of the best parts of the product, and be interesting because he is very much Triple H guy, isn't he? Like he was essentially one of the first guys that Triple H kind of molded, isn't it? You know, in this. I do think that Devonport another comment. He says Logan. I think Jake might appear. Yeah, I think Jake will appear. Thing is, Logan's not a celebrity though. He's signed. Like we're in a weird era now where these celebrities aren't just coming in for one match. They want to stay around. You know, being Bad Bunny, you know, he's signed now as well, isn't he? To do
host of Backlash in San Juan, Puerto Rico.
Yeah, exactly. So they're not just kind of doing one and dones. They're kind of sticking about. So potentially, you know, Logan Paul could have, like I said, he could have a match now at WrestleMania Backlash. I'm still calling it WrestleMania Backlash forever. I'm gonna go with.
Will it be Rest Paul Mania?
It's annoying because Rollins just seems to lose so much.
Or Sethlemania. What one's it gonna be?
I'm gonna go with Seth. I mean, just because I think it's the better decision to have.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. I think Seth. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with Seth Rollins. I think. For me, yes, Logan Paul is. Yeah, he's coming into it. He's been pretty decent when he's come in and the stuff that he's done. But for me, I'm not a fan of celebrities coming in and like winning because it just to me makes the wrestlers seem like, well, they're doing this job week in and week out. It's like, why would a celebrity suddenly then just come in and be able to like beat you at what essentially you're trained to do and your job kind of thing? It's just, for me, it's just stupid. It's like, you know, why would you? It sounds like a stupid analogy, but why would you go to a coffee shop and ask someone for a coffee and then just go behind the counter and make it yourself?
Joe's a coffee fan, though.
Yeah.
So what's that, Denver? Seth is the best decision. I agree. But he thinks Logan can't not win. Yeah, this is the thing they do with this because when people wrestle less frequently, obviously always wins and losses matter a bit more, and so it is a case of Logan. If he loses, he's now going to be 2-2. Whereas obviously Rollins can, if he wants, Raw or SmackDown next week, win 2 matches, and then obviously it cancels the loss out, so to speak.
We probably win the title. But yeah, I'm in agreement with you though. I think Seth's going to win.
Yeah, I hope so. The other 2 went the other way, by the way, so we're actually splitting this.
We said about 2-2. There we go.
And I think as well, some of it might be because the last time he was on our screens, of course, was against Roman Reigns in obviously a very, very high profile loss. And so we're going on this. Obviously, they come from a little bit. It's weird saying this. They come from the boxing world, the Paul brothers, but that kind of scene where yes, like the match after this massive defeat, you usually want to win, and so there is that side to it. But I think that the reception to Logan Paul has still been quite negative in a bad way, that I don't think they want to kind of rock the boat too much by having him win again. But now I've said it probably will win, but yeah, we'll move.
Either way then, you know, we're gaining 2 points each or we're getting 0 points. So, there we go. So we now move on to what I think what a lot of people are speculating could well be the main event of night one of WrestleMania. If not, then it could even be the opening match for night 2, because then you have the entirety of the bloodline.
I think they have to split
rumble pretty much.
I think they have to split it, because this 2-night thing, like, you can't give the biggest storyline in wrestling all to that second night, in my opinion.
But it is, the Usos taking on the team of Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. And I had the pleasure of interviewing Kevin Owens back in, I think it was like November now. But Lucas is just stepping out for a second. So predictions on this one. 1 second. Hey guys, sorry about that. We just had the internet randomly just cut out here. So we are back. So fear not. I did wonder what was actually going on there, but it was just my internet decided that it was just gonna boot itself out. Probably all the excitement over this WrestleMania card, and so the Usos taking on Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens for those undisputed tag team championships. So, who's first for this one? Is it me?
I think it's you, yeah.
So, I am going to go with, I think, the universal choice here. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn all day long are going to come out of this, I feel, with the tag team championships. It'll be a massive feel-good moment. I definitely think this has to headline. It's got a headline night one.
It's got to. A tag match hasn't been the main event at WrestleMania since WrestleMania 1. And we know Vince McMahon's stance on tag team wrestling. But this is one of those where it's just a bigger story. And I get that maybe Triple H will have that kind of thing about, okay, the Rumble win the main event at WrestleMania has to happen, so he might want to put Rhea Charlotte, but the match has no heat. No one is interested in it. Like, honestly, no one cares. Just like I said, listen to you. Put it on the main event of SmackDown. Put it on the pre-show WrestleMania Night 1. Like, it just is a match which is eclipsed by, there's such a gulf between the interest in the Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley match and this one. I mean, even if you go the other choice, like I said to you, the Hell in a Cell, I'm like, okay, that makes sense. It's a big gimmick match. It's still a story that's been going on and on for ages. But we've seen this combination before, and we know it's just going to be the half-an-hour match, that Edge does now, and Edge, the pop for Edge is reducing each time because you're seeing him more often, But I think it's got to be the tag match. It's got to be.
Yeah, I mean we've got obviously a comment here from Daniel saying the Usos will retain. So obviously, you know my thoughts on it that Kevin and Sami are winning.
Yeah,
Are you in agreement?
Yeah,
with,
I think
with
Owens
me
and
as
Zayn
well.
have got to win. They've got to win. It's got to be on last. And because again, we're going into obviously this is a recurring theme because it is a recurring theme in WWE. Everything is going on forever. They've had these tag belts. I think just after Montez Ford was rumored to turn heel. It's been that long. It's been so long since they've done this, and they've got to change it up. And although the inevitable rematch usually will happen, it just opens up more teams that be in this. And again, with WrestleMania Tag Team Showcase, potentially we could see the Street Profits, Kevin Owens and Zayn could be good. And again, these two people are just entwined, aren't they? These two, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, forever. I think forever and ever and ever. It's a combination, no matter whether they're feuding or teaming together. They teamed together against Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan, didn't they, at WrestleMania a few years back as well? Yeah. They faced each other at WrestleMania a couple of years ago. I think WrestleMania 37. And so this is their third time at WrestleMania, kind of together in the same match. I think actually wasn't Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, were they both in the IC title match at Mania as well? I think
so. Yeah. I would like to see that at some point. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn versus Kevin Steen and El Generico.
But yeah, no, I think that this will be an absolute banger of a tag match. And I know that obviously WWE do have a kind of bespoke way of having their tag matches, which obviously is different to how the indie tag matches go. And I know it can be difficult for people to understand that. People go, okay, well, the Young Bucks and Lucha Bros and, the longest tag team in AEW, which obviously can contend for this kind of tag team of today. But I think in terms of pure tag team wrestling, the Usos are the best at it.
100%.
Usos are the absolute best at it.
They've been tag teaming since they were in the womb.
And yeah, I think that this is the payoff. They lose them, and to think that when the Jey Uso versus Roman Reigns match was announced for, I believe, Hell in a Cell.
Yeah. Was that when Jimmy came back? And
no, it was a month before, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think it was like a payback or something. I don't know, one of those random ones they did. Yeah. People laughed.
Was that back when Vince was still in charge?
Yeah, but people laughed, didn't they? People were like, "What's Jey Uso doing facing for the WWE Championship?"
Main event Jey Uso.
But honestly, and we'll get to this more in the next match, but honestly, Jey Uso has been one of the MVPs of the entire company the past couple of years. He's got to the stage where he deserves the main event.
Exactly.
And they brought the tag belts into that spot where it can be main event. And yes, people will bang on about, well, we had Eddie Christian and the Dudleys, and we had the Hardys, and we had, Lord knows, 10, 15 years ago. But this tag team at this time have got the belts that position where they could be main event.
Yeah, and I think it's one of them where I think overall, the entirety of the Bloodline story has just been like the best told story I think that WWE have done in many a year, actually. And the fact that obviously it started out in an era with Vince and
in lockdown as well,
and somehow Vince didn't mess it up.
No, he didn't. I think, to be fair, a lot of the hidden stuff with this, a lot of the best stuff was done during that era. Weirdly, like that whole Hell in a Cell story arc with Jimmy Uso coming into it, and then doing the whole acknowledge me head of the table stuff. That was all done in front of the screens.
And do you know what I think is one of the best kind of parts about all of this? It has Paul Heyman's fingerprints all over this storyline. Wherever you look, it's Paul Heyman. And I think, when it slowly starts out and then you've got obviously the introductions of like solos coming in, I think there are other brothers like training now as well. Yeah. And it's like, there's no end to where they can add to this, like the Anoa'i family.
Yeah.
Just one of the great, it's honestly one of those families in wrestling that don't get as much respect as they deserve. Like we acknowledge the Anoa'i family. They've produced so many great wrestlers over the years. The late great Yokozuna, Umaga, Rosie. Obviously Roman Reigns, Asuka, Rikishi. You know, the list goes on, and you know, it's just great to see, like, you know, these proud Samoans basically carrying WWE. You know, it's just incredible.
Over 2.5 years.
Exactly. And the thing is, it's like you said about like lengthy title reigns. I don't think either of these have felt boring at all, because they've just been so, like, you know, to use like a phrase from Drew McIntyre and Sheamus, it's just been banger after banger after banger.
Yeah.
You know, every single time they've just produced like performance after performance. Whatever iteration of the bloodline that you had, whether that was Roman, whether it was the Usos, whether it was Solo, whether it was a combination of them, and it shows they always managed to get the job done.
Yeah, definitely.
And yeah, for this one, obviously being the tag team title match, obviously we'll get a bit more into the Roman Cody match in a bit, but yeah, this obviously being, as I say, the tag titles for, you know, undisputed tag titles as well. So it'll be like Raw and SmackDown. Yeah, I just think it's got to be, as much as I don't want the bloodline story to end,
it's just natural end, though, I think.
Yeah, it has to be. And I think more because I think Roman's probably going to want a bit of time off as well at some point. The Usos, obviously, they see, much like we were saying about the Street Profits, they could go off and have like great singles careers.
Yeah, Jey Uso's more than earned it.
You know, they're incredible. Like, you know, to be fair, when Jey was facing Roman, like, they could have done a lot worse than putting the title on him. You know, that I don't think anyone would have really batted an eyelid.
No, not at the level, the caliber that the performances were at. You know, with this,
you've got to think that these guys have been like fighting probably since they were all little kids. So,
well, this is the thing. I think we're finally seeing with a lot of these people in this match and throughout the WrestleMania card, we're seeing the kind of culmination of a lot of hard work. You know, the Usos came in with face paint and doing the tribal dance and, you know, doing all that kind of stuff, and now we're seeing them as their true selves. You know, over 10 years into this and really a strong part of the brand. Do you know what I mean? And they've been wrestlers for, you know, that long, and they're part of that family. And it all kind of ticks over. And you're right. I think that with the Anoa'i family, it's a bit like they just keep this gift that keeps on giving in wrestling. And I think, it's very important.
It is. It definitely, and there's, you know, as Cody's entrance says, wrestling has more than one royal family, and we're definitely seeing that here. But like obviously they say as well, friends are like family, and obviously Sammy and Kevin, you know, being as close as brothers, obviously fighting like brothers at times. But yeah, I honestly, like, I don't know about you, but I think it's their time. I think it's
it's
the natural conclusion. I think is Kevin and Sammy to take the titles off the Usos. So. I think the others, I would assume that they go the same way. But
let's have a look. We've got KO and Zayn.
Surprised actually, because Rob is obviously a massive fan of the Usos, so a bit disappointed that Rob didn't go for the
it must have hurt him quite a lot to do that.
So right, so we've spoken a bit about the Anoa'i family, we've spoken a bit about the bloodline, we've spoken about the Usos, we've spoken about Solo Sikoa. Let's go to the tribal chief himself, Roman Reigns, taking on the man who re-debuted for WWE at last year's WrestleMania. Cody Rhodes, son of a son of a plumber.
Hard times.
Indeed. So, Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes. It's, for me, not... See, I don't think this is as clear-cut as people would assume, because I think WWE may have this fixation of getting Roman to the 1,000 days of the Universal title. Is my theory. Is one theory is that they could well do the 1,000 days just because it's obviously 1,000 days and he's not a million miles off of it now. I mean, yeah, you give your quick thoughts. I'm just going to quickly check and see exactly like how many days we're at the moment.
So this match for me, has changed. I think it's my turn to predict anyway. First, I should realise that. This match for me has really flip-flopped so many times because I think everyone has that de facto thing of like, if you win the Rumble, you will win at WrestleMania. Except when you don't. You know, there's that except when you don't. And we forget about it. Just like Money in the Bank. We win Money in the Bank. And remember before, you had pretty much 100% success rate, didn't you, for the first kind of few years. And they threw spanners in the work. We've had announced cash-ins lose. You know, we've had actual non-announced cash-ins lose. You know, Damien Sandow. You know, we had Baron Corbin. You know, and we've then had a lot of them where they have lost. So the success rate has decreased. And when people lose these things, they lose hard, it seems, you know, because, like I said, Damien Sandow, you know, never got a shot at the title again, you know, after that. And WWE do like storybook endings. We know this. You know, WrestleMania tends to be, how do we get that storybook ending? It's been that way since day dot. You know, since Hogan slammed Andre, you know, through, you know, well, to be fair, if Hogan did in the first 10 years of WrestleMania, through to the boyhood dream, through to the forgotten we can't talk about at WrestleMania 20 ending.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, was that when Vacant basically beat Triple H and Shawn?
Exactly.
So, okay, so I've got a fact. So we've got it here. So Roman Reigns currently is at 939 days. He would reach 1,000 days as Universal Champion on Saturday, the 27th of May, 2023.
So, but I don't know. I don't think. I mean, that's an interesting point. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know if it's enough to sway it. I think that for me, though, I think that it's because Cody's now so default, and I think if Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn win, I could then see Roman winning. I think obviously if they lose all the belts, then it is a case of the blood, and you know, and
where's the bloodline going?
Yeah, and this whole Roman Reigns wants time after Mania feels a bit like the whole when we thought Lesnar was going to lose.
Take the ball, go home.
Well, no, we thought Lesnar was going to lose. Remember, what was that, 33, wasn't it? When everyone was adamant Lesnar was going to UFC, blah, blah. And lo and behold, he signed the new contract. He retained the championship in the main event. And no one saw that coming.
I think it's such an awkward scenario, though, because they've got the two titles merged as one.
Yeah, I won't defend them separately.
It's like Cody theoretically has said he really only wants a WWE title. You know, Roman obviously, I think, although he's the double champ, so he's been obviously WWE champion for a year, but then Universal Championship is kind of the reign that you would look at as the historic reign, more so, really.
Yeah, and then also you got that thing about Triple H apparently not liking the Universal Championship.
Apparently, as well, there's
a new belt.
Well, apparently there is a brand new WWE title that has been approved, designed, made, basically.
But is this all just red herrings? Do you know what I mean? Like,
we don't know.
We get this around WrestleMania, don't we, where this happens and it just ends up being nothing. And wrestling journalism, I use the word journalism very loosely there, you know, it just kind of is a weird thing, isn't it? Where, you know, we're reporting on something which is essentially like a storyline on your favourite TV show. And that's why, as much as obviously there are real things that happen in this, it's...
Oh, did you see Phil Mitchell got kicked out of Queen Vic last night? For all of our viewers that are overseas, that's from a show called EastEnders.
Yeah. But it is at that stage where there's so much that goes on in WrestleMania week, isn't it, news-wise? And something later on this week could sway me the other way. But I am going to go against the grain. I say that because someone else has predicted this as well, actually, on our team. But so it's not as against the grain as people might think. But I think the general consensus is
the Roman grain.
The general consensus from I think a lot of people would be that obviously Cody Rhodes is winning. I don't think Cody's a guy. I don't think he is. I think that they've done a good job presenting him like he is. He's done some amazing promos building up to this. The work he's on with Heyman is admirable. But I just don't think it is. I think it is going to be ending WrestleMania 39, goes Hollywood, Backlash.
Backlash, Vengeance Day, King of the Ring.
As still your reigning, defending, undisputed WWE champion of the world will be Roman Reigns. I think Roman Reigns is winning.
Oh, see, it's a tricky one, man, because I can honestly, I could see it going both ways. I mean, if you'd have asked me that a couple of weeks ago, I would have literally just been like, "Oh, Cody's winning."
They've done a good job working this.
And the thing is, I mean, this is massive props to Triple H here, you know, for like the booking of this whole bloodline thing. Yeah, just it's as much as I think Roman could lose the belts, it's like the bloodline story doesn't kind of have to end here, because you could even have it where the Usos lose the tag titles, Roman retains his title, and he says to them, "Well, look, you know, I held up my end of the bargain. Why could you guys not do it?"
Yeah.
And vice versa, you know, even the Usos could retain the tag titles. Roman loses his titles, and they could then even be to him like,
Exactly.
well, you know, oh, we managed to get the job done. You know, we did what you couldn't do, kind of thing. And obviously, let's not forget, you know, Cody's kind of out there flying solo, kind of thing. And then talking of solo, you've got, you know, the Enforcer, obviously Solo Sikoa, who's not even come into the equation here. You know, I think everyone thought it was like a clear-cut thing that Drew McIntyre was coming out of Clash at the Castle as a champion. I mean, I don't know what was the feeling like in the stadium.
Yeah, I think that, you know, it's very hard with these things. Obviously, again, we're both football fans, and we know that obviously we will always go in with any game and pretend it's England, let's say. I know it's in Wales. But anyway, we go into any England game going, we're going to win. But there is some ones we have to be realistic and be like, well, it's actually not going to happen, is it?
We see the game go to penalties and we're not.
But, yeah, you know, we are used to that kind of dejection. But it was. I think the majority of people in that stadium did feel that Drew McIntyre was going to be the person to beat Roman Reigns. And this is the thing, we've done this. Like, we've had this thing before. I mean, again, we mentioned it earlier. I know you're not the fan, but there was that consensus of people who felt like even Logan Paul could have done it at Saudi. Like, there was enough people where they didn't, because the storyline that they had with that was very, very good. Like, it was that case of one lucky punch. All it could have taken, you know, to dethrone this reign. Obviously, thankfully, they didn't do that. That would have been a whole other different WrestleMania kind of thing we'd have had to go. And again, this match, you know, for past 2 years, it felt like since the Bloodline formed, was very much talked about in the vein of this will be Roman Reigns versus The Rock. And that hasn't happened, hasn't come to fruition. It looks like it's potentially not going to happen.
But then if you use that theory of it being Roman Reigns versus The Rock, then there's never been a plan for Roman Reigns to lose the title at WrestleMania.
Exactly, yeah.
Because The Rock, I don't think The Rock was going to be winning the undisputed WWE Universal Heavyweight Catch 23 Tag Team
WrestleForce Championship.
Yeah, the WWE British Championship. But yeah, I mean, the thing, so if you think of it that way, you know, the two plans were obviously to split the titles up, have one title be with, it was Cody, Seth and Drew, WWE title. Universal title was going to always be Roman Reigns and The Rock. So you would safely say that the plan then was for Roman Reigns to leave WrestleMania with the championship, the Universal title, and then probably go on and do that 1,000 days, potentially lose it at SummerSlam or something, and then you take, you know, the rest of the year off from SummerSlam, come back at Rumble, like nice and refreshed or something. But that's kind of that, like thinking of it that way is what's thrown me. Because if there was never a plan for Roman to lose, it's then, okay, so why now then? Why Cody? What is different to Cody Rhodes than there was to Drew McIntyre, than there was to Brock Lesnar, than there was to Edge, there was Daniel Bryan? You know, the list could go on. Like, what is the like, why Cody Rhodes? Why now? But then
The thing is, I guess it's when did Roman Reigns' title reign become the big title reign? That makes sense. That's the turning point. I think obviously he won the belt, and when he won the belt back at Payback 2020, no one would have thought it would happen. 2.5 years later. But then obviously you get past a couple of defenses. You're like, okay, he beats Uso, he beats Thing, he wins at WrestleMania. You're like, oh, okay, we're doing a bit. For me personally, I think that the presentation of Reigns shifted when he went part-time. When he went part-time and it was made clear that his matches will be fewer and far between, it meant that he was being booked and looked at differently. And so they knew there wouldn't be a chance to be like, okay, Roman Reigns is, opponents got injured. Can we just change? Can we bring in Roman Reigns? No, you can't. Like, Roman Reigns is now an attraction wrestler, wrestles on your main pay-per-views, and that's that. And I think that shift definitely. And I think with most things, everyone's always looking for the ending, aren't they? They're always looking for the ending. And I think we've had a few fake endings to it, haven't we? Where we've had, obviously, this Drew McIntyre one, which could have been the ending. We had potentially Logan Paul. We had, who else did you face since then? I mean, Lesnar, like...
Jey Uso one we mentioned as well. And even like obviously the going way back to like earlier in the run with Kevin Owens when they had that dodgy handcuff spot, wasn't it? Where technically Roman should have lost the title.
With the whole thing with Cesaro as well. We had Rey Mysterio, Daniel Bryan, not just before he was, when he was, that he faced Daniel Bryan at that time when Daniel Bryan was deciding, did he stick with WWE because they're going to do the New Japan thing potentially at the time, or did he go to AEW? And they decided to go, potentially that could have been the talk that maybe got Daniel Bryan out of the opportunity, because everything with WWE is very much down to, especially with Vince around, it was very much down to kind of their exact opinion of the person at that exact moment in time. In that moment of time, I might have felt Daniel Bryan's going to go to AEW because when this Japan deal is not going to happen, and he wants to wrestle more in Japan, and that's not going to happen on the WWE brand that we've got, so he can't be champion. So Reigns has to retain. And then even with Cena, it's a case of, okay, like, can we get the belt to Cena, and he's going to defend it like what, once a year?
if he could be bothered.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, it's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's one of them weird ones though, because I think whoever it is that does eventually beat Roman, let's say for argument's sake, it is Cody Rhodes, it is at WrestleMania, it does happen. It's like, you got to think, whoever does it, they are basically set up for one heck of a
they're the biggest babyface going.
Exactly, because you got to think, it's like you've slayed the biggest dog in the yard, the biggest beast, the tribal chief, this guy that's been undefeated in what is it, 2.5, 3 years, whatever it is now, that he's not been beaten in.
Some man after to beat
Baron Corbin. when they were doing was that when they were feeding over dog food and all that stuff?
Oh wow! Yeah.
I mean, and literally, if you just look at the names that Roman Reigns has beaten as Universal WWE Heavyweight Champion,
it's a list of Hall of Famers for the most part. I mean, it's such a high caliber list, isn't it?
The list that he's beaten just in title matches, would stack up against he's probably done more in that 3-year title reign or whatever it is that he's held the belt now than most people have in their entire careers.
Yeah.
So it's not as if he's just been going in there and it's like, oh yeah, we're going to just feed you. I mean, no disrespect to this. They're not just going in there and feeding him like a Rick Boogs or an Elias and that kind of stuff. They're actually feeding him top level talent.
Yeah.
And the fact is, Roman Reigns is elevating them up here, and they're elevating Roman up here, and the matches are getting considerably better and better and better. And I think one thing that we definitely know is that this match is going to be an incredible spectacle.
Yeah.
Will probably go on way too long, but it'll be an incredible spectacle.
Just Cody bleed.
I think that should be a bonus question. In what minute does Cody Rhodes bleed?
I think they're going to try it, but obviously they're going to have to do it the real way, because I think they're not going to allow blading again. Maybe take the glove off for the Superman punch potentially, do it the hard way. But then, would you really want? I think
see, part of me thinks that no, because you got to think they're aiming this product at kids, and if Cody wins, they're going to want the big shot of him holding the belts up, trying to market that to kids and parents. Oh, mum, can I watch this? And then you've got a literally guy that's standing there, face full of blood, holding up like the belts. But anyway, we've digressed on this so long. I can't even remember. You picked Roman Reigns, didn't you?
Made your pick.
Oh, mate, this is so tricky. Double count out. That's not even a bad shout, that they do like a non. But then you're not going to finish. You're not going to finish WrestleMania with a non-finish, are you?
We've had DQs before, haven't we?
I think it's got to be Roman.
Wow.
No, Cody. It's got to be Cody. It's got to be Cody. They've got to do it. I think. Oh, Cody off.
If you went with Cody, you'd be going with Scott. With Roman, would be going with the other two of us. So, yeah, we're all split with this, it seems. So I can imagine they went through the same kind of maybe thought process,
Obviously, I've got that adrenaline in my soul. Wrestling's definitely got more than one royal family. You know what? I think Dusty will be proud of his boy, and Cody, I think, is coming out of it with the title. Lock it in before I change my mind again.
Well, that's locked in.
So, yeah, I think as well, our predictions are well and truly locked in for this one as well, mate.
Obviously, if anything else is added, we will do them on the build-up show, which will at the moment be hosted by Scott and Rob. And we've got much more content coming up. Obviously, we meant to touch on it before, but go through it again all the time. Live build-up show for both night 1 and night 2 is taking place, obviously, before the show. We will have night 1 and night 2 instant reaction. These are short shows after the show finishes at some point at breakfast in the UK. And we'll have the bigger recap and review on the Monday, as well as, obviously, we've got lots of content that we've done previously. We did, obviously, talk about the Hall of Fame, and about some other stuff. And we're doing stuff with the Raw after WrestleMania as well, because we do think that this will be a big year for it. But disappointing couple of years for the Raw after WrestleMania, I think.
I think especially with Triple H at the helm as well, I think he's going to want to make that Raw after WrestleMania massive, and he's going to want to make a big deal with it. So.
Yeah, and obviously then have to start the build up to the biggest show of the year, which is, of course, WrestleMania Backlash, which takes place, I think, when's it taking? Is it in May?
It is the 6th of May. 6th of May.
Okay.
I know, my mum's 60th birthday.
It's coronation weekend as well.
Yeah. So, yeah, big, obviously, big day here in the UK. We're going to have literally Backlash, WrestleMania Backlash, on the in Puerto Rico. We're going to have, over here in the UK, we're going to have King Charles' coronation. And so we're going to have...
The thing is, I must admit, I do like this... There's going different territories. Obviously, after that, they do have the King and Queen of the Ring tournament. That will be in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
Then obviously they will be back in America for SummerSlam. No, Toronto, isn't it? Sorry, yeah.
No, Detroit.
Detroit, sorry, yeah. So SummerSlam. I don't know.
Then in Old Blighty over here for Money
in
the Bank.
Yeah, but I think it gives it more of an international feel, doesn't it? But it did feel for a while they were only going to like 2 places, Florida.
Florida Center or one of the other stadiums they use.
But what I say is my final thought on this, though, is, look, we know as wrestling fans we get kind of passionate about things and we feel ownership and connection to things. It happens as well with people like movies and music. We feel we have ownership over things, particularly things that we liked from a young age up to now. But whatever your affiliation wrestling-wise, whether you're a WWE fan, whether you're an AEW fan, whether you're a New Japan fan, whether you're an old WWF fan or WCW fan, Monday Night Wars, you liked the Hulkamania, or whatever it's going to be, just enjoy this weekend of wrestling, because we get it once a year. We get it once a year where we get to have our Super Bowl. We get to have, our World Series. We get to have our World Cup, our Olympics. We get to have it one weekend a year where, as fans of professional wrestling, we get to enjoy not just content that WWE produce. We must, again, I don't know how they do it. We have to remember, they were running SmackDown Live on Friday night. They're doing the Hall of Fame straight after that. They've got NXT the next morning, followed by 2 nights of what is probably going to be 4 hours each night, plus the pre-shows, or kickoff shows they call them now, sorry, of content, and the Raw after WrestleMania. You know, these wrestlers, these performers, they perform for us.
Going to the SmackDown after WrestleMania.
Yeah, like it
could just be huge.
Yeah, it's a huge week that they put on. And outside the WWE, obviously, you know, Ring of Honor have their Supercard of Honor show. There's a variety of wrestlers performing on shows, both in the UK and obviously over in America over that weekend. So just for this weekend, let's just leave our AEW's better, or New Japan's better, all this kind of stuff. Leave our favoritisms, our opinions at the doorstep and sit and remember.
At the Forbidden Door.
At the Forbidden Door, yeah. That's coming up with AEW,
yeah,
I think.
exactly.
End of May, end of June. I don't know which one it is. You know, just leave that at the doorstep and remember that time. The reason why we're wrestling fans. For me, it was a Saturday mornings watching SmackDown on Sky One, followed by WWE Experience. You know,
heat and velocity.
Yeah,
and
heat and velocity.
Stuff, yeah.
You know, sitting there, jaw open, and just being amazed by these live and live performers coming into my television. And I think, or through the television, yeah, whatever, on the television. They weren't in the room.
It's the random hand just going like that straight through the screen.
But yeah, let's just enjoy being fans of professional wrestling and enjoy what the WWE have to do, because it's going to be one way or the other. It's going to be WrestleMania that I don't think we're going to forget, because it's such a huge thing now. It's taken up life of its own, isn't it, really, WrestleMania, where it's just everyone gets the bug. You know, I get so many text messages from people, you know, that I haven't spoken about wrestling for, well, pretty much since this time last year, where they mentioned, obviously, you know, wrestling friends who were going, oh, it's Stone Cold wrestling this weekend. Like, yeah, he is. And the same people who were the friends with me maybe 20 years ago when Stone Cold last wrestled WrestleMania. And it happened again this weekend, where people would be like, wow, John Cena, like, he's going back.
Are they still doing a McMahon in each corner?
Yeah. You know, just enjoy it. It's going to be a blast, you know, I hope.
Yeah, I think I couldn't really put that much better than that. But anyway, wherever you are watching WrestleMania and all the other wrestling in the over the globe, we wish you a very happy WrestleMania weekend.
So Merry Christmas,
yeah.
then.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Hanukkah.
Mashallah,
everything like that. So, yeah, take care, guys. Thank you for sticking with us. And don't forget, obviously, like, share, and subscribe. And go over and follow all the other Rebellious Noise channels. And don't forget, check out all the interviews that we've done over the past couple years with WWE. And hopefully we'll bring you some more of those contents very soon. And yes, Scott and Rob will be back with you in a couple of days' time. And yeah, from me and Lucas, that's everything from us. So we'll sign off now and take care. Bye for now.
All good. Take it easy.
Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action.